Yashikoya. All right, Cheva, we're going to start by asking, maybe sing another song. It's coming over here. All right, Yehuda, you're going to begin and we're going to help you.
There should be a piece of paper going around on the next table. So go to the next, I will go to another. Then after Shabbos. So if you can circulate the paper, I'll be ready.
All right, Cheva, we are on Zoom. Huh? I'm a lost in the chest. And now, I'd like to ask our dear Gabbai to represent the group and to make the Siyum.
Can't hear you with your mask on.
Yeah. 1 second, Danny, you want the mic? Okay.
Okay. So we're doing the set this new up. Some
Good-ish, go ahead.
Set this up. I've heard. I grew up like Yoma, so we'll stick with that name. Really a fascinating stuff that anybody that was on this journey with us learned a lot. So like when we'll start to see him, and I have a couple of thoughts I wanted to share.
Guys, just before it begins, there's a lot of healthy food over there behind the Gabbai. Salad.
So it finished. It says, "Honey, Tanach, Kanedra, my teacher the Bryce, teaching of Bryce in front of the But it says, "Aroya carrying
See how the
so someone that has a sentimental omission on Yom Kippur, all his sins have really been forgiven." So it's an interesting case that they're finishing with here, which is something that seems on the surface not so positive. And he's saying, hey, clearly it's a sign that things are good. And when I learned this, I related very much to it personally. In many ways. Great. I'm using a comparison. Recently we were by the Ohio, and we're there with the group, and we're standing in front of the candles to light the candles. So I'm lighting my candle. As I'm lighting the candle, what happens? A big deluge, Rabbi, a deluge of water poured down on my head. So I'm standing there lighting the candle. Rabbi Tal was there, and I'm soaking wet. And I was thinking of Jonathan, who may have left, who the time before when we went to the oil, he got a little wet.
Never.
Very upset. And here I was more than a little wet, and my initial instinct was to be very upset. But immediately everyone's around, they're like, it's a Tefilla, it's like, it happened to me also by the Kaisel once. Where there's a bird going around and maybe a little profit. And it's like, it's a blessing, it's great. So this is the mucker for it, this is the bar right here. It says, Tanya, as if Sidurim says somewhere else, that it means that his sins are going to be lined up, like a rain. So my Sidurim, he is lined up to be forgiven. So this is the theme, this is the idea. So I wanted to take a step back and just kind of like thinking about this Masseches. And Rabbi Zion spoke Shabbos the other week, and as we were going into the 3 weeks, we talked about this concept of Bima, where it appears being the same gematria of Aliyah. And that somehow through tears, we actually come to Moed, to festival. And Rabbi Zayin spoke about this idea of consistency. And when I think about Masseches Yoma, so throughout the whole Masseches, you're learning about the different parts of the Avodah that go on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is certainly, you think about the year, Yom Kippur is a single day, it's a highlight day, it's a day of repentance, a day of forgiveness. There's something special for sure about Yom Kippur. But as I was thinking about it, I realized that there's also another aspect to Yom Kippur that it's definitely, it comes out in Yoma, it doesn't get so much attention, but that is the fact that the Kohen Gadol constantly was changing from his gold clothing to the white clothing. From the standard avodah that went on every single day, which in my mind represents consistency. And so yes, it's a special day, and it has a special avodah. But he's always returning, and sure enough, at the end of the day, when he's done the par, and he's done the Siyum, what does he come back to? The Talmud shall be in our mind, right? That's every single day. That's the consistency. And I was thinking about that idea, and I was thinking about Rabbi Zion's speech, and how what we do every day is consistency. So that's what we strive for. And I think that when you take these two concepts, the idea of sometimes something in our life that appears not so positive, and how do you deal with that? I think maybe the solution is consistency. Consistency in our avodah, consistency in our service, and we're sitting here with Rabbi Zion, who's like, I feel so lucky to be part of this shul, part of this community, and have a real role model of consistency. And I'm also blessed to have a father, a blessed memory, who also he modeled consistency. I saw him get up every morning, and I saw him learn every day. And I'm trying to be like that. I say Rabbi Zion in many ways. I'm trying to learn, not as crazy as you are with all the, the exercise, like that, but listen, everybody on their own level. And connecting it also to Rabbi Herzl, who is in the same, it's not just by chance that you're here, that here's a guy who is experiencing what seems like, something that's not so positive. And how is he dealing with it? Is that the day yesterday of his son's surgery, he's giving a shiur to us. And if you listen to Rabbi Herzl's words, when he spoke at the Fabrengen, he said, we don't know why, what we know is we have a mission. And wherever we are, whether it's in Ramat HaGolan, whether it's in Florida, whether it's in Los Angeles, Ramat Sola, they're on shluchos and they're doing their shluchos. And so I think that these concepts resonated with me and connected here to the end of the Masechta, that there are things in our lives that on the surface are not so positive. But you have to know that this is ultimately what's going on. So with that said, we finish up the Masechta is a ton of Mishmal, all right, here it is Purim, Yidat Kol Hashana Kula, and also Lo Yishana, Hukah Lo Yishana, Abba, that's a ton of Mishmal. They say you gotta wait a year, and then you're in the clear. Rav Nachman Yitzchak, hey, that you should know, Shekol Olam Kulei Ro'i Saveya, that everyone's hungry, he's satiated. He also Rabdini, when Rabdini came from Eretz Yisrael, he came to Babel. He said, Omar, Mapish Chaye Sagi L'Sagi. He will live long, multiply, and multiply further. So, and that's the way the Masseches is finishing off. That Mamish is positive. It's gonna all be good. We can multiply, go on, and all of us strengthen each other with the message of consistency in our avodah and in our learning, and maybe go with Kyle. So with that said, Adon Allah during the Purim, Salik Allah, Masseches Siyum. Adon Allah, Masseches Siyum, Adon Allah. Adon Allah, Masseches Siyum, Adon Allah. This is the Lemida, Masseches Siyum, like this. Sister Shay. Oh, I didn't love all the us. Adon Allah, Masseches Siyum, Adon Allah. Adon Masseches Siyum, Adon Allah. But this is the Lemida, Masseches Siyum, like Sister Shay, not. Oh, I didn't love all the us. Third time. Adon Allah, Masseches Siyum, Adon Allah. Allah, Masseches Siyum, Allah. But this is say, you know, like sister say, you know, like all they love all the last year, I don't let say it. Hey, so that's what I say no by myself, say what do I now work as I heard he gonna say I started by Papa, above Mari by Papa, Rafi by Papa, Rafi by Papa, they call it Papa. Circle by Papa, Ali by Papa, Doru by Papa. I don't know, I didn't I'm pretty sure. Yeah, one hour, say I'm pretty sure. Probably get this this rest of the spot. The other way to have maybe is exactly I don't keep the solid careful man like English, I don't like Eshka. Therefore, one piece, sorry, what about the other thing? Home sell about put an law. Put my apple, I don't let say you. Santo, something good. We stand about him, yes, almost be so good. He must be the part of the carbon sulfur. The carbon sulfur, all was the hemots in, all was the fire of my brother. He was in the shops, never out of him, but he did the shop, and she don't remember. We have to remember, and he kept that block. He loves the high. The change as I tell the Siyum, Masseches Yoma, Tefilla, hospital, Masseches, for my feeling Siyum. Film and language class, kind of the research that got the Elyahu, first block, I know him, some of the Chachamim and Rabbi Zayins and Rabbi Herz, the Yama, the Uzari, Shalom, so much, I tell you, Izari, Zerzari, Ad Time B, Shalecha, Tanach, Oisa, Shav, Tishma, Lecha, Zoisa. He's Checha, Yerbu, Yamecha, Sik, Bukha, Dois Chaim, I don't know you bought it, it's coming Amen. 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 L'chaim. Kannst sitzen, wie du willst. Kannst knacken.
Okay, verbringen, absolut verbringen.
Zwika sagt man, man darf stehen auf dem Tisch.
Auf dem Tisch. Kein Zwicker, kein Dani. First of all, again and again, I can't believe it that so quick the time went by. I think a month ago, a Wednesday, we came here and we were invited to the Kabbalah Sparim at the house of the Rav. And it was amazing, unforgettable Kabbalah Sparim with the dancing and how the Kehillah hugged us. And every night the supper was waiting, every day another surprise was waiting for us. And it makes it a different journey. We're all in a journey, massive day Israel. The question is how you're making the journey of life. The Gemara, the Midrash says, it says, Moitzi Asirim Bakoishoris. The Eibishter let out the Jews. Koishoris. What's Koishoris? Many Pirushim about the word Koishoris. One Pirush is from the, how do you say, from Enka. Another Pirush is kosher time. Kosher means springtime, not hot, not cold. Another Pirush is that Moitzi Asirim Bakosharis goes to the beginning of the pasuk. It says over there, Moishiv Yechidim Baiso. The Eibishter makes a marriage between a man and a woman. And Bakosharis, what's Bakosharis? Bechi Veshirois. You could either cry or you could either sing. That's your journey. You are going to decide how your journey is going to happen. Bechi Veshirois, it's in your hand. That's the Bechir option. Not what, but how. And because of that, it's so helpful that this community, Poshet, gave us all the ability that our way should be Beshirois and not Bebechi. I'm not sure if Yudale will remember the doctors as much as you remember the other good stuff which went around. He said to us one day, my shlichus is very easy. Your shlichus is harder because my shlichus I'm doing when I'm sleeping, the doctor is putting me asleep and I don't feel anything. You're awake, you're saying Tehillim, you are crying, you're not crying, but you're saying Tehillim. So in every journey of life, there is no question of where or what. That's the Eibishter. The only question, should we fetch, or we should march? Wine or win? That's in our hand. And that's the Masseches. But from the other side, there is, yes, a little bit an meaning of kvetch. And I'll explain. I don't mind to whine, to complain. It's in a different meaning. The question is, why does it say Eila Masay Bnei Yisrael? That's the journey. Why don't we refer to the parking? The park, they're stopping. 42 places where it's mentioned in the Torah, it's places where they stop. So the Torah should say, those are the places where Bnei Yisrael parked. Why does it say those are the places where the Jews had journey, Masay? Because that's the Indian, the Rebbe says. The entire being here in this world, it's not the parking, it's the journey. From time to time, we need such an event of a Siyum. That's the parking, getting together, feeling, charging up, getting atmosphere. But that's not the Iker. The Iker is, it's not only what we have done, finished Masseches Yoma, it's mainly what we are going to do, the next Masseches. This is the Siyum 4. It's not what to happen, it's for what is going to happen. And the Iker is to work, to kvetch I mean to kvetch ourselves. A rich person asked the Rebbe, how much tzedakah should he give? Because it's a big question. It's a very objective or subjective question. How much tzedakah should you give? Depends how much you have. No, but two people could have much or more or less the same. Should they give the same? So the Rebbe told him, give until it hurts you. Why? Because only when it hurts you, you started to serve Hashem. Because then you moved from your older place. You detached yourself from the over, from the past. You're in a journey now to a new place. And that itself, do it in a happy way. But how do you know that you're in a journey, but it hurts? When you feel you have to work on yourself. A famous story of Rabbi Gimpel, which everyone knows, Rabbi Gimpel Oramland. One year he came, the first year he came to the Rebbe, and he wanted to donate $1,000, which in those days was a lot of money. And the Rebbe told him, from you, I'm expecting 5,000. That in those days was like today, they say, who knows how much. And he said right away, yes. But he didn't know where it's going to come from. And the Rebbe says, if you are accepting it upon yourself, besimcha, betuv levav, so then I'm wishing you that next year you should have kefil kiflai. Comes next year, and he didn't have where to bring the money for it. And exactly the days before Rosh Hashanah, he sold the land, which was near a hospital. The hospital wanted to make a base office, and his portion in the mikdama, how do you say mikdama, the deposit money, was $15,000. Kefil kiflaim, five, another 5. And then he came to the Rebbe. He was so happy. And he fought for buying one of the psukim of Simchas Torah to the Rebbe Ato Reisa. So Ato Reisa gave to Rabbi Weiss at the end. But another pasuk, and then when he won, so he said, how much are you giving? So he said, as much as the Rebbe wants, because he has experience from last time. And the Rebbe told him, give 5,000 if it's worthwhile. Not a problem. After Yom Tif, he wrote into the Maskirs how much, and the Rebbe told him $126. $120.26 for Shem Avaya. And he got insulted, and he couldn't handle it. So he asked the Rebbe, my high. Last year that I didn't have, they requested for me not 1,000, which I didn't have, but 5,000. This year, which I'm coming in such a happiness to give, because I saw the clearly the Nes, as much as possible as he could. So why the Rebbe is asking only for 126? That's an insult. So Rebbe told him, well, don't you understand? That's exactly the issue. Last year you didn't have, it was a journey for you. So you correct out of yourself. You walked out of your boundaries of your Mitzrayim. You're walking out of your own Mitzrayim. So the Rebbe said that also financially, everything's open. You walk out of the boundaries of your bound, that it's open. You could take things that you never thought. That's not in your will, not possibility. But this year you came with pocket and your money, with a backup. If you come with a backup, so from my point of view, I don't need your money. 126, a nice gematria, it's enough. Why? Because the Rebbe was looking from us the journey, the krich out. I don't know how to say the krich out in English. Krich out means like a small hole. Squeeze yourself out, not go out. When you're squeezing yourself out of yourself, of your own boundaries, then you should know that when it hurts you, then you're starting your journey. And again, we see in this community something which last time we said it, but we have to emphasize. A concept in Chassidus, one of the 3 foundations of Chassidus is Avas Sidim, Avas Rein, the love which is in between. We saw the video the Rebbe says, if a child asks from his father something, and he wants that his father should listen to him, first he has to create Nachas Ruach for his father. And what's Nachas Ruach? When a father sees that his children are playing the Ava, that's the biggest Nachas Ruach. It says in Chassidus that it's possible for a father to have more than anything else. And then the father is ready to give everything. That's Avas Reim, Avas Chassidim. That's the foundation, one of the 3 legs that everything is under. And by the way, it's much harder to be happy with one with another than to be sad. Because to be sad, if Chas v'shalom a tragedy happens, it's something natural that people are sad. To be happy, something which is not your money, but his success, not your health, his other person's issue, he's fine. That shows a much higher level. So the Rebbe should help. We are mamish now in the middle of Erev Shreidish, of Siyum Masseches Yoma, which is Vidim Cathedral. Such a happy for bringing it. A Thursday night and a Shabbos of Elam Masay should all do our journey. It should be a journey, a Masay, a krich out, but in a shirois, in a way of a simcha, in a simcha gdoila for everyone and each one, until the simcha of Bias Mashiach came.
Amen.
Hey, yeah, la, 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 oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, la, la, This was not a hit.
I think that this is also a Suda Saidah. So we're going to hear the original Suda Saidah story. The original.
Five. Just to the story that I was asking to share is a story that happened with my aunt 60 something, actually almost 70 years ago, 69 years ago. So just to frame the context of what was going on, my grandfather, was a rabbi during the war. He was a rabbi in Basel, Switzerland, which actually saved him, although his extended family actually recently had the yard. He was a Pelzer. And his parents and my grandmother's parents during the war, they were all caught up there in Tels. They were all killed. But he was in Switzerland, so he was saved. After the war, there wasn't much of a community left in Basel, Switzerland. So he became the chief rabbi in The Hague in Holland. And he was there till about 1951, then the Korean War broke out. When the Korean War broke out, they thought this was going to be another world war. There's a lot of posturing going on with Russia and America and everything. So they got nervous, so they decided to come to America. They tried to come to the United States. They weren't able to get to the United States, so they ended up in Toronto. When they got there was some people in the Chabad community. There was Rabbi Lipsker, Rabbi Eli Lipsker, who was the father of all the Lipskers, was there already in the community in Toronto. As other, so they were friendly with them. My grandfather had a shaykhus very remotely because his sister was married to Rabbi Charaka. Free the government made that shit up. It wasn't like it's an interesting thing in and of itself, but he had no shaykhus with Chabad at all. And that was sort of his any kind of connection that he had. But it was more the Chabad community. And Toronto was friendly with him, but he was a rabbi in a shoulder. They came there, they had mamish nothing. He was a teacher in a day school just to try to make ends meet. They didn't speak any English. The only one who spoke English in the family was my oldest aunt, Shalom, Shalom, because she had gone to seminary in Gateshead in London. So because she had gone there, she learned to speak English. So back then, you had no phone in the house. You didn't have any laundry machines or anything like that. So how did you do laundry? You took a big pot of water and you boiled it. And that's what you used to make your laundry. They had 10 kids. And one day, my grandmother had boiled all the water from the laundry. She went downstairs to get something. She comes back, and the youngest girl, Amina, who's about a year and a half years old, had fallen into the water. And it was very, very hot water. And she right away picked her up. And they were, without getting into the gory details, it was very burnt. She right away wrapped her in a sheet and got to the hospital. He wasn't even able to speak English. People just helped out. They brought her to the hospital. But they couldn't communicate with the doctors because they didn't speak English. So the doctors told my aunt who went there, they said, tell your mother that this child is not going to make it out today. It's not done. And my aunt said she didn't have the heart to tell her mother that. So she just said, the doctor said it's a very serious situation. My grandfather didn't know who to turn to, what to do. So he called his brother-in-law, Rabbi Charakov, in New York. He said to ask by the Rebbe for a bracha. And the Rebbe responded and said that everything will be okay. And he also added over there, he said that, you're a Rav in Toronto, if you make sure the chinuch is okay, and make sure the kashrus is okay, you do what you have to do, and then the Eibusher will take care of his part. But my grandfather, he was happy, but he was not that happy because earlier the Lipskers had a issue where they had a kid that was very sick, and the Rebbe just didn't give a bracha, but he told to make a kiddush on Shabbos. So my grandfather felt that the bracha was lacking. He didn't get the full thing. But whatever. But at the end of the day, she survived the day. It was going on, but it was very very touch and go. And then a couple of weeks later, they get about a week, maybe 10 days later, they get a phone call from New York, and the Rebbe said they should make a kiddush, and then my grandmother should participate in the preparation of the kiddush, sort of like a pre-suda saidah that they should do in anticipation. And my father, all of a sudden, told me he remembers that all the Lubavitchers that were there came. It was unusual. People were rolling on the floor, l'chaim. It was very freilich over there. So that was it. So my grandfather felt happy that okay, he got the full bracha. The next week, they were going to go. It was going to be her birthday, and they're going to go visit her. Her birthday was on Shabbos. My aunt, so they're going to go visit her on Sunday. Yeah. But on Shabbos, the police suddenly show up at the door. There's no telephone. And it was right after Shabbos. It was Sunday morning. The police show up at the door. They said, the hospital said you got to come right away. This baby's turning blue. He's having trouble breathing, vomiting. It's a matter of hours, maybe minutes. You got to come right away and come say your goodbyes. So the first thing my grandfather did is he ran to a payphone. And he called New York, he called Masseches, he called the office. And often the Rebbe in his office had an extension with a pickable line. And back then you could hear the clicks and everything. My grandfather heard that someone else was on the line. So he said, where's the, he asked who was there. So the Rebbe said, it's the Schneerson. So he referred to himself. And my grandfather told him what was going on. And the Rebbe said, it can't be. He said, you go to the hospital and you tell them that they're giving your daughter the wrong medicine. They're mixing up something. They must have mixed up the medicine. So grandfather said, okay, he goes there. Remember, he doesn't speak English, but he was a tall man. He starts making a tumble, and this is like the hospitals before they had Jewish doctors. This is like Toronto in the 50s. So there's all very waspy doctors and everything, and he's standing there with his broken English saying, you're killing my daughter, and they're trying to calm him down, and everything's good. He said, it's medicine, check, whatever. And they went ahead and they checked, and they saw that Taka was intravenous, and the other medicine, they were mixing up the medicine they're supposed to be giving, and they Taka confused it, and they fixed it, and right away, she started getting better. And it was a process, then she eventually got better, but there was a concern, because also she sat down in the water and everything like that, there was a concern that they didn't know how badly the burns went, how internal did it go and everything, would she be able to have children one day? There was a lot of concern. And the Rebbe sent her a golden ruble from the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he said that she should give it for tzedakah on the day of her chasna. And on the day of her chasna, she gave it. I think she kept it. She gave it the equivalent as tzedakah at that time. And basically, she went on to have 16 kids. That everything was good and fine. And she recovered. Complete recovery.
What's she married?
She married Newman. She's a shluchim in Long Beach, California. There. So at the end of the day, there's a couple of things. Number one, at the end of the day, like the Rebbe says,
Some has it. Some
you
can.
do what you have to do. You pay your chayvus. You do your shluchas. The mention about doing your shluchas in this world. You do your shluchas in this world, and the Eibush takes care of the rest. There's things that are out of our control, and that's not for us. Those are things that we don't. You can't. Obviously, you have to deal with it, but you don't have to worry about it because you take care of your part, and I'll just take.
So we have to give you that golden ruble. Who has the golden ruble? Huh? We have the koyach. Bring it. Give a bracha, Yehuda, that guys that we should be zoicha to dance by this bacher's wedding. Not now, at the right time. That will be a nice chasana to go to. Yeah. It's a yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, when I was in Long Beach, I ended up having to practice at Parshan's house.
I just want to give an intro of it, guys. Reb Chaim has a fabrengen every Thursday night. Let's look like it.
Right, we got it. So this is the 15th child. So, you're the 15th child. So when no one came, they only had 15 children at that time. She was the 15th child. So she was telling me the story because I knew the details whatever it was. She called in. So this thing about her not having kids didn't come from her. It came from Rabbi Newman. They're already engaged, and he wanted to make sure that so he's the one that wrote them. I did not know that. Rabbi Newman himself, when they were engaged.
They never vocalized. They were concerned. Certainly, they haven't the point, but it was actually they were talking about getting married.
Yeah.
The Shida Newman was not too worried. He says, knowing the story and everything like that, he would have to also ever get another girl.
Yeah. Wow. Right. No,
Oh,